Staying in flow is one of those things that is just so hard to figure out how to do. But today we want to talk through some of the daily rituals that we've implemented in our lives to get closer, at least, to staying and remaining in that flow state throughout more tumultuous times, because I think it just clears the mind a little bit, keeps you focused on the goal, and keeps you happy and positive in life as well.
Without a doubt, man, like the last couple of years have been pretty weird.
Oh yeah, it's been especially the last 18 months, but then you think back to sort of 2018 to the start of 2021, it was a weird year, weird few years for property and everything.
Yeah, like people in Sydney and Melbourne in those years lost about 15%, maybe
Yep.
10%, lost another 15%. That was scary, and then sort of straight into COVID. And it's completely natural, I suppose, what we're saying is to be feeling a bit off right now. You know, a lot of people have a huge value which they're not aware of, which is freedom.
Yep.
The entire structure of Australia is set up on that. And right now we haven't had a lot of it. So even that, without all of the other stuff laid over the top and the media and the fear, would be making us feel a bit out of keel. And so today we wanted to sort of help you guys slow down some of the big swings and just sort of get back to that self-moderation.
Yeah, I love that so much. And we talk about it all the time. You know, most people are living like this, like big ups and big downs. Which can be tough to navigate through the world when you are reacting so much to certain situations, especially when a lot of what happens to you is external. You don't really have much control over it, especially when you think about COVID or a property market or a drop in the stock market or losing your job. More often than not, it's, well, I don't know, but not up to you. So all of these external things bring internal pressure. And if you can start to figure these things out, you actually learn to address them a little bit easier. I think the first step to it is awareness. Like awareness.
100%.
It's weird. There's a lot of negativity in the media. There's a lot of negativity in the community at the moment. And that gets spread. Like that energy gets transferred out externally onto other people.
Without a doubt. Like I was watching an incredible little doco the other night that you've seen, the Momentum one with Kelly Slater and Rob Machado and all of those legends. And one thing that I saw, like regardless of this strange time in history, was Kelly Slater saying, and he is by far the most successful athlete of all time.
100%.
Like there's no one even close to him in terms of like no one will ever be able to beat what he's done.
11 world championships.
Yeah, and just so consistent, and he'll be a 50-year-old on the tour, which I know is another goal that he's probably got.
Yeah, for sure.
But he said after he won his 5th world title in a row and his 6th in total, he said there's just no way of having such high highs at that stage that he was at mentally without having such low lows. And it was incredible to hear the world's best, most talented person surrounded by coaches, business coaches, nutritionists, sports people, a whole team of people just geared around him to keep him in flow. And he's saying, like, I just realized after that the chase that a lot of us are on right now, which is working towards financial freedom and stuff, it requires something. Like, it requires more than your average because, you know, the average is to work for 45 years and then retire, and you guys are trying to do it in 15, and so are we. And it takes a little bit more to do that, a little bit more energy, a bit more headspace, a bit more fear, a bit more sharpness than you might want in your personality to sort of get some stuff done.
Yeah, and I think it's important to recognize, because I've actually read this in a couple of different studies, that the fact that it's all the same chemical reaction in our mind. So you think about a Kelly Slater who's 11-time world champion and has had these massive highs, these massive lows. We all experience them in our own way, but it's just obviously brought on by, you know, a lesser event sometimes. So like that chemical reaction that's occurring in your brain is just as bad. When that cortisol is released and you're feeling that fight or flight mode, it's as real as ever. Like it doesn't matter if it's, you know, the kids spilling some paint or if it's, you know, losing the biggest contractor in your business or something like that. It's still the same like chemical release in your brain. So it still feels bad. And same when you get those big wins, when you win a world championship or even when you just love the taste of that beautiful coffee in the morning or something like that. You know, there's still that release of serotonin that makes you feel really damn good. And I think for us and the habit of these daily rituals, I'm getting to a point where I can almost harness it. Like I can almost harness that serotonin release, and I can feel the cortisol release before it actually takes control and sends me into a spiral where it's a big low, because I'm catching it on the way down and changing before it gets too hectic. Those waves that used to be like this and now more just like a nice calm sea.
I love hearing that, man. Like, I think there's two things there that are super important in terms of my daily rituals now, and you're so spot on, and they both stem to what you originally said, which is awareness. Now, the first step for me was being aware of the thoughts in my brain and starting to create a separation from those thoughts and going, as weird as this is to say, while I am the thoughts in my brain, I'm also the observer or the watcher of those thoughts in my head as well.
If you want to learn more about what Ben's talking about, go buy a book called The Untethered Soul. That explains this perfectly.
You know, and all it is going, well, I'm just going to watch my brain for this moment of this day or all moments of the day, and pretty soon you realize it's like a radio station with the top 10 hits. And most of those, like, you know what I mean? It's the top 10 stories.
It's the same ones over and over again.
Non-stop. And then as soon as your brain's aware that you're watching those stories, it will replace the top 10 hits exactly like the Billboard charts do to keep your attention.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And so it's like recognizing that when this pop song comes in over the top of that one, it's the same story. And all of those stories are set to freak the fuck out of you. That is how the brain works. Keep you small, keep you scared, keep you on track, or to hype you up and create anxiety about the future, about working towards this thing or that thing, because if we just get it, everything will change.
Yeah, and these were all created throughout evolution for a long time ago when, you know, it was a much more dangerous world to live in than what we live in today, you know.
The thought to run away was a fucking good thought.
Yeah, well, you had to when there's big cats trying to chase you and kill you. So, like, it was a reality, but we live in a far more comfortable world now. We live in a far better world now, but our mind still attaches to these stories and still attaches to these emotions because it hasn't evolved as well as I guess the world has. So that recognition is hands down the first step towards it. But like, I guess these daily rituals is to stop us from having the big swings and to keep us in flow, because when you're like on the highest of highs, sometimes it's a little bit like the world just seems wild, but then when you're at the lowest of lows, you just don't really feel like doing anything. So, you know, if you can just maintain a bit more of an equilibrium, a bit more of balance through those different emotions, it just makes the world so much easier to interact with. It makes challenges so much easier to overcome as well.
I love that, man. And I think you're so right. Like, once you've become comfortable with just watching your mind, and it's a constant practice. Like, I mean, the Dalai Lama's just doing that all day, every day. You know what I mean? Like, that's his life, and Thich Nhat Hanh's and stuff. And it's like, then you start to realize the connection, as you said before, between the thought that you're having and the chemical release showing up in your body as it's all cortisol, adrenaline, or what is it? What's
serotonin.
The nice one? Serotonin. And it's like, it all feels the same, and it's just a chemical reaction to a thought. And it's like, when you can get to a point where it's like, I'm having that dopamine hit, or that serotonin hit, or the adrenal hit, or the cortisol, or whatever it is, like 1,000 words for it. It's like, that's cool. Now I'm not just observing my brain, I'm observing the effect of the chemical reaction in my body and how it's making me feel. And I'm going, instead of attaching to the feeling, I'm going, that's just the chemical reaction in my body as a result of a regular thinking pattern, which is normally induced around stress, being anxiety or fear.
Yeah, exactly. So, look, the first daily ritual is obviously meditation. It's the only way that you're going to figure out yourself and these emotions and these stories, because you'll find that when you do sit there and meditate with your own thoughts and breath, you start recognizing the pop songs that are coming in, these consistent stories that are coming in, because you're sitting there in awareness of yourself, and you hear them come in, and then you're like, oh, that keeps popping in. Yeah. That keeps popping in. And then you can address that. And once you get to a level, you can actually like dive right into that and unpack it and, you know, go back to some childhood memory that may have triggered that particular story in your mind, and there's a reason to it and you can overcome it. But meditation is a daily ritual that both of us have implemented into our lives and has hands down had the most profound impact on our lives.
Without a doubt, man. Like, you know, my regular practice is, you know, Monday to Saturday, I set my alarm at 6 a.m. Some Saturdays I'll sleep in and I just go straight out. Literally, I've got a foam roller that I put under my spine to like relax my spine. I sit there for somewhere between 10 and 20 minutes and it's either guided or just quiet.
Yourself, yep.
And I just catch my thoughts.
Yeah, that's it.
And they reckon like you're closest to your unconscious self when you first wake up in the morning because your brain has had time to settle. And so that is the most effective time of the day to also do your meditation to get the most meaningful impact.
Beautiful.
Plus also set up your day in a more positive way.
Beautiful.
Now, what meditation has given me, and it's different for everyone, is a moment between my reaction is always to step forward. Like that's what it's always been in my life, or to just run the hell away, right?
Yeah.
But most
same.
of the time it's to step into it. And it gives me a moment between the thought to fucking fight and fighting. And that moment is changing my life for the better in the most profound ways, with kids, with my friends, with my family, like slowly in my business as well. Like when I'm aware enough of it, like everything's changing.
I love that so much, and it triggered this thought of this recent meditation I listened to from Alan Watts, which was talking about the yin and the yang. And the yin and the yang is a beautiful, beautiful metaphor for life. It's the light and the dark, the good and the bad, the object and the space. And the yin is the yin is the actual action or the actual thing that you do. So like the breath is the yin, but that tiny little point in between the breath is like the yang, that space. So what I learned from diving into this and learning more about the yin and the yang and the Tao Te Ching and things like that is that there is no good without evil. There is no light without dark. There is no action without inaction. So understanding that you need both to operate the best in the world. But what I think meditation has helped me do is focus more on the yang, on the space between things.
I love that.
And find the beauty and the peace in the inaction, in the things that aren't real. Because this life that we operate in has always focused on the action. What are you producing? What are you doing? What are your goals?
Are you achieving? What numbers do you have in the bank?
All of that. It's all of the action. But the inaction actually gives you time to reflect on the action and change it.
I love that so much, bro.
But people don't value it as highly. But understanding it is really important. And like having that space in the morning where you can connect to your unconscious self and you are having those breaths and you're feeling these things pop in, and it's like, okay, that's a thought and I can run any which way with this. And for me in the mornings, it's always starting with just some peaceful meditation, but always driven by gratitude. Because I find in the mornings, starting the day with gratitude just sets you up. It's like a good foundation for a good day, because just
turning your mind onto focusing on positives
the good
versus
things.
negatives.
Yeah, it's a sunny day today, or it's a rainy day. The plants must be loving it. You know, like if you focus on gratitude, you can always find the positive out of a negative.
Love that so much, man. Like I was reading the Tao Te Ching the other day, and one of my favorite things is it's not, you know, like it's talking about that form and emptiness thing again, and it's like it isn't the cup that's important, it's the space within the cup. You know, it's not the room that's important, it's the space within the room that we inhabit. It's not like the full mind that is important, it is the empty mind or the space between the mind. And so that brings me to the second thing, like breath work. Like and it could be called mindfulness. That's a whole other thing, but like for me, since I had like major anxiety about 4 years ago, and slowly working through that like on a weekly basis, daily, moment by moment basis, that constant like just checking in with the breath. And I wrote this quote recently in my notes, and it was like, for those people that can find the breath, everything will change. And for those people where everything will change, like the world, I don't know what I wrote. I've got to like read it back properly, but it's like the breath is the start of it, and the change comes, and then from that change, everything, any possibility can come off the back of that. I didn't really say that very well, but that's what I'm going for. Like that, just checking in with the breath and remembering that you're alive. And that there's
it's
a whole
the life
bunch
source
of stuff going on.
Like how lucky we are to live by just breathing.
I wake up every single morning, and the first thing I'm like,
oh
my God, like, thank God that I've got another breath. Like, thank God that I'm, like, woken up again today. You know what I mean? Like, I'm so freaking grateful to the universe for that, you know what I mean? Because it's a gift.
For sure. I think the breath is so important. It's the easiest way to meditate as well. Like, if you haven't started yet, just start. Like, we've been talking about it forever now. Like,
I heard it for like 10 years before I like actually went to it.
Oh man, it's just so powerful to be able to do it. But like, you just literally sit down by yourself, you know, in a quiet room, and you just start recognizing the breath. And Thich Nhat Hanh does it so peacefully and so beautiful. It's like, I'm breathing in, I recognize that I'm breathing in. I'm breathing out, I recognize I'm breathing out. And just do that for like 5 minutes. And every time a thought pops in your mind that takes you away from that mantra, I'm breathing in, I recognize I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out, I recognize I'm breathing out. That's a moment of practice where you are being aware. So that thought comes up, oh, don't forget to send that email later today. Wait, no, Simon, you can think about that later. I'm breathing in, I recognize I'm breathing in. I'm breathing out, I recognize I'm breathing out. And you do that, just start with 5 minutes in the morning and in the evening, and see how it goes. And I can guarantee after a week, that 5 minutes will turn into 10. And I guarantee after a month, those thoughts will become very, very few and far between in that 10-minute period.
For sure. Like, you know, there's a part of modern psychology, and it's called ACT, and it's really, really similar to the Eastern way. And that is, instead of like, the thing that the brain loves, right, is having a thought, and then what it wants you to do is hook onto that thought. And it wants you to take you from that thought to that thought to that thought, and all of a sudden you've catastrophized, or you've made this thing way worse than it really is, or it's got you in your thinking self. And so what ACT does is, as that email thought comes up, it's like, instead of criticizing it, thinking it's good or bad, or even judging it in any way, you simply go, that's the work thought.
Yep.
Oh, that's the work thought. Cool. The work thought comes up again. That's the work thought, like a cloud in the sky. My dad says, just let it pass. And then it's like, oh, that's the kid's thought, or that's the, I'm a mum, I've got 1,000 things on my to-do list thought. Like, that's my mum thought. Or, hey, that's my, like, I'm not good enough, or that's the whatever else and over time, once you start to notice your thoughts, you'll realize there's only about 4 or 5 regular stories, because not all thoughts are bad, like it's all good.
It's more often than not your biggest insecurity as well. Like, it'll bring to light your insecurities. For
100%,
me,
it's rooted in that.
It's impatience. Like, I'm always like, it's lack of control and impatience. Like, I'm always having little things coming up. It's like, oh, you can do this better, you can do this quicker, or you got to go get this done. And it's just like, no. Just come back. You're exactly where you're meant to be right now, and just be here, because nothing else really matters in that particular moment. It will get done.
I love that, man. So pre-meditation, the only thing I actually do that I forgot to say is I have at least 500 mils, if not 750 mils of water.
Yeah.
The best thing you can do health-wise, according to like
almost
everyone in the world, is flush your body before you eat.
Yeah.
It just gets rid of all the shit. So it's like, I'll do that. And then after the meditation, for me, I've moved into some form of movement. Now, at the moment, I've had a pretty cooked wrist and knee. So the movement's been limited to 15 to 20 minutes on the bike. Or I don't even time it anymore. I just do like songs, or if I feel like it, I'll just watch nature. And then I'll do some like back stuff, because I'm like focusing on my posture at the moment. I'm starting to think that like good alignment is just,
get out of
for
here,
me,
Melly.
like just an important priority. And then I'll do a couple of things to like heal my wrist and my knee. And, you know, that will be replaced at different times with like any form of movement, surfing, running, weights, like whatever. Like whatever your thing is, just do your thing.
And sometimes in the morning for me, like, I don't necessarily feel like sitting there in my own thoughts, so I'll incorporate my meditation into some movement as well.
Cool, wow.
So like I'll just do some light stretching, or I'll go for a walk out in the backyard and get my feet on the grass, get the sun on my face, take some deep breaths and do some movement, some forward bends, some backward bends, just a little bit of movement. Like once you learn yoga, there's a few fundamental movements that you can do that kind of get you into alignment. So you just do those and get the blood moving through the system. You know, that's something that I try and do every single day. So like, I guess what I'm trying to get at is you don't actually need to, like, meditation isn't just sitting down in your own thoughts, you know.
Meditation is just life, and sitting is the way that you start it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the most, you're going to get the most benefits out of it if you do it that way, but you can also just incorporate it into your daily workout, you know, whatever that might be. But maybe instead of like putting the news on and going for a run on the treadmill in front of the TV, or ride on the bike in front of the TV watching the news, or putting a podcast in or some music, you know, just try and be alone in your thoughts in that moment, because you will find a little bit more mental clarity. But I always find the morning, definitely some water, definitely some movement, definitely some sort of like breath work, meditation sort of stuff. And for me, yeah, it's only ever, you know, average days 10 minutes, good days half an hour, and, you know, the consistency. But for me, I only really try and do it 4 days a week.
Yeah, that's,
you know, I don't need to do it 7 days a week, because, you know, sometimes I like to have a little bit of a break and just be like, oh, cool, this morning I'm just going to completely relax, because I know I'm going to be going for a big surf later on. I'm just going to be alone out in the ocean by myself a little bit later, whatever it might be. But just having that like first 30 minutes of the time that you wake up for yourself.
I love that.
For you and for your mind, to get yourself into peak performance for the rest of the day. So if you're, you know, Ben, you about 2 months ago used to get up at, you know, when the kids would get up, and then you try and do all this stuff and you're like, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So you set your alarm half an hour earlier, you get up half an hour earlier, you go to bed half an hour earlier, and it's completely the same. So just change that routine so that you can justify getting up 30 minutes earlier, so that you've got that space for yourself. And then you figure out what it is for yourself. You know, maybe it's journaling for some people. I know a lot of people, like most people, vibe with journaling more so than meditation, which is cool. It's still getting the shit out of your mind into the world and processing those thoughts. You know, it might just be as simple as brewing a beautiful cup of coffee or a beautiful cup of tea and just sitting there outside and listening to the wind, or listening to the birds, or getting that little bit of sun on your face or something like that. Just connecting to yourself, connecting to the world, and putting you into a position where you're not just consumed by your thoughts at that present moment.
I love that, man. And, you know, journaling's been very helpful for me, and I just let the brain write what it's thinking, but it always turns to gratitude at the end.
Yeah.
It just always naturally turns that way. I don't mean for it to, I don't try to, but it just naturally orientates towards, I'm grateful for this, I'm thankful for that. And, you know, another thing that I like to do after I've done my little movement, now everyone's different, right? But this is just the stuff that works for me.
Yeah.
Is I like to jump in the cold pool. You know, I heard this epic thing, it was from you, but it was a Tony Robbins thing, and he's like, for something that I know I'm going to do, this has completely changed my life. I don't negotiate with myself anymore. When you told me that, man, I just don't even think about hopping in the pool. The only time that I know where I'm at mentally, because on those days my brain will...
Monday's always the hardest for me, because I normally don't do it Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
And I just jump in there and I spend somewhere between like 3 minutes to 10 minutes, but most of the time it's just 3. And it's a quick thing. It's like I get in there and I do this thing. I just say, I wash away anything that doesn't belong to me or serve my highest and best intention.
Love that.
Just cleansing, like using water to clear, like we've been doing for thousands of years. And then I hop out and I'm into my day. And it's like my next most important value outside of getting set up for the day in the morning for me is to spend a little bit of quality time with my family. Exactly. This morning I cooked them bacon and eggs, and I like chopped it up with my hand, like an harpy chop, and I fed like all the kids off one plate, and we just all had a laugh for a bit. Beautiful. Jumped in the car, dropped them to school, cranked some tunes on the way, and had a laugh. And it's like, it doesn't have to be much. I used to feel so much dad guilt around not spending all morning with them, but I'm like, I'm a better person on the days I start it that way.
Yeah.
And then I still get to spend some time with them, and then my afternoons are like them time.
Yeah, exactly. That's so good. And, you know, I can see the change in you over the last 2 months from like really being probably 3 months diligent on that path, which is epic. And I would recommend going and listening to, you know, the Wim Hof podcast or something about this cold immersion, like this cold therapy, because I don't know, I'm not smart enough to know the scientific things that are occurring, but there is so many pros to putting yourself in a stressful environment, which is like just hopping into a cold shower. Now, if you're in Melbourne or Sydney in the middle of winter, I can tell you that shower is freezing cold.
I was doing it in Hobart a few years ago when I went down with all my mates and Lisa every morning.
Yeah.
And I was having a few beers every night, and I was hopping in, and every morning at like 6 a.m. I'm like, ah!
It's
and
like
the whole house is like, are you all right, Benny? For like the first 2 mornings, and then they realised what I was doing.
the good thing is the colder it is, the less time that you need to spend in it.
Right.
So like if it's a bit warmer, you spend a bit longer. If it's colder, you spend a little bit less. But if it's like anything below 12 degrees, you know, all you need is about 30 seconds to a minute, and you're going to get all of these health benefits. And, you know, from a high level, it's all cardiovascular. It gets the blood moving through your body a little bit easier. It also enables your body to change your white fat cells into brown fat. So white fat is the bad fat. It's the fat that you don't want. Brown fat is the fat that you do want. So there's actually a chemical reaction after putting yourself in a cold environment where your body changes them around. So it's like really, really good for your health benefits. And I think there's some sort of endorphin release as well.
100%.
Like, because
it sends like a fucking fight mode into your body, and it's a huge hit.
Yeah.
It's like, and I'd rather get that than a bad email. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd rather get that in the morning and go, okay, cool. There's no bear in the pool. It's just my body doing its thing.
I've overcome it.
You know, I've overcome one of the hardest things, you know,
Yeah.
you can go through in a day.
Yeah, so I always start with, you know, like first things first is definitely making my bed before I get up. Always, I'll always make my bed because it's just like, cool, ticked off, one thing accomplished. Second thing is drink some water, wash my face every single morning. Then it's, you know, 20 to 30 minutes of some sort of movement, breath work, meditation, mindfulness, then jumping into the cold shower. Like that is only 20 to 30 minutes of my time every single day.
Sets up the whole
Everybody
day.
has a spare 20 to 30 minutes in the morning. And if you don't, create it, because it is so, so, so important. And it's like, if you've got an early start and you know that you've got to be on the road super early, then try and create that space in another part of your day or something like that. If you're not like a massive morning person, then maybe do all of this stuff at night time to wind down and get on top of it. But I think having the morning ritual is the biggest benefit, because then you carry that through the rest of your day.
100%. And then, so as we go into the day, there's many things that I'm learning now and just learning now that massively help. Like the way you start the day is the way that your day goes. I'm such a strong believer of that. And it doesn't need to be this structured. Like I've talked to psychologists about this heaps, like actually having days off and having complete flexibility and being able to modify what you do is cool. Everyone's got like an ideal thing, and then it's like, sometimes I've got 5 minutes to do a meditation, I'll jump in the pool for 1 minute, 6 minutes, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Like wherever you're at, you know, just be flexible.
Roll with
on
it.
You don't, like the things that are brittle and stiff are dead, and the things that are flexible and in flow are alive in life. So when we get to the day, some of the big things that are helping me massively now stay in flow is when you have stresses in your life or a stressful job or like things that trigger you in your day-to-day life, the people that are able to switch off from that thing and move into the next thing, or to just switch off from it and go, okay, that's that, and this is the next thing, like are exponentially better off in terms of their long-term health and longevity plus their recovery, because their brain isn't focused on that thing that is so much past behind them. And in the Tao Te Ching, it's like the master does the work, then moves on.
Yeah.
And it's like, I get that now after 2,500 years of like, and my whole lifetime, like checking in with that. I finally get it because I've really practiced it this month, and I've got a huge thought, which is based on a whole bunch of other mini thoughts from my past that I've got to think about the business outside of work. And so many of you guys would think about your jobs, or maybe you can replace that with kids or exercise or a hobby or whatever that thing is. But all of us normally have one dominant thought that we don't see as causing suffering. That is just sneaking in through the background. And so it's like, I recognize that and I've just gone, that's the work thought. Some days I might say that 200 times in an arvo. That's the work thought. But slowly by going, okay, I don't have to let this dominant thought rule my life anymore, because I care about the work we do as well, but it's an excuse. It's like, it's just not me switching on and off better. You've been incredibly good at doing this. And I think as a result of that, you stay more in flow and closer to yourself. Of course, there's big days. Doesn't have to mean it's a big afternoon.
Or it doesn't have to mean that ruins your week or anything. And I think that's an important thing to recognize, and what meditation will do. And I haven't always been like that. Like I used to be super reactive, and things would set me off very easily. But now, because I've been doing the meditation for so long, you hear it as it comes through, and it's like, okay, this thought is trying to take me somewhere. I'll still react. I'll still let those emotions out and address it. Let them come, let them go. But then once they're gone, they're gone. And just let them pass and just go, cool, now I can get on with the day, get on with my task, get on with my job, get on with being a parent, whatever it is that you have to do. Being able to compartmentalize and go, this experience, that email, that call, that conversation doesn't have to impact more than that time that it took out of your life. 100%. It can be, and then it can be gone. You don't need to attach onto that, because that's where, depression and anxiety come from. It's like attaching onto those thoughts, trying to control them when you can't,
100%,
like all you can do is let them go, and then you'll be able to freely operate in the world.
I've loved learning that from you. Like, it's been one of the best things about working together, and it makes me so grateful. Like, I get to have someone like you, like my own Mr. Miyagi, just every day that I'm checking in with about that stuff. And it's cool, the complementary parts of personalities, and that's why life is best with people that are different but share similar values.
Yeah.
And so for me, one of the things that I never ever gave enough credit to was, there's 4 things that I'm going to talk about over the course of this, but one of them is structure. Yeah. So a lot of us have, like I've talked about in previous eps and previous videos, a tendency towards certainty and then freedom or uncertainty. And it's like those two things, for most people have a thing. What I didn't realize is that by sitting down and working with Simon through my calendar, he helped me shape mine, I helped him shape his, to not just take all of our to-do lists onto a calendar that's like, I get up and meditate, I go into work and I do these same things. It's made us way, way, way more productive. It's taken away I don't even have a to-do list outside of the people that I need to call anymore. When I started the business, I used to have a 24 things I was trying to do every day. My calendar does that for me now. It took a long time to get that structure. And the most important thing I've flipped recently, because they reckon that structure actually creates more space for innovation, more space for creative thinking, more space to switch off, because there's structure there.
And it definitely does.
Steve Jobs wore the same shirt because he didn't want to make a decision around a shirt. He wanted to keep the decision for the next technological breakthrough he was going to work on that day.
I love that. That's so true.
So what these guys do after reading this book, Rest, is they don't just have structure to their days. They structure the most creative, innovative, emotionally taxing or mentally taxing part of their day first thing in their day. And then they spend the rest of their day just pottering through the other stuff.
These little admin tasks.
I always went straight to voicemails, text messages, emails. I always did bits and bobs throughout the day, very structured. Now I do the things that matter, like the meaningful client calls in the morning, the meaningful team meetings, the meaningful content, the meaningful writing. Then I do my emails in the Arvo when it's cool, question, let's answer this for someone, let's help them, let's give them a 5-minute call when I'm not trying to rush them off the phone.
Yeah, exactly.
And that has changed my day. And what they found is that the top performers consistently do things over time, And the average performers in every single area of life that they studied, whether it's athletes, actors, musicians, scientists, think that working harder actually does something for them. They reckon the top people in the world never ever do more than about 4 hours a day, and they break that 4 hours into multiple chunks. All of the heavy stuff is focused in the morning, and then I think about it's like Kobe Bryant or any of these guys, LeBron James, you always hear them at the gym in the morning doing the technical shooting shit. You know how it's like Jordan was there for an hour and a half, so was Kobe.
Before anybody get there.
So was James. It's like, it's because that is the most important part of their job. Then comes all the physical conditioning and the training with the team, which is just like, but the thing that wins fucking games is being able to shoot that winning shot. And it's like, they get it.
Yeah, they just get it. Man, it's so true. I love it. Like, that structure has helped me massively. Like, it's just a non-thought. Like, it's just, you get in, you look at your calendar, cool, I know exactly where I'm at, but I always look at it the night before and it's like, cool, what have I got on tomorrow? I'm mentally prepared. Have I got everything organised? I'll write down everything. Just get it out of your mind so it's ready for the next day. And then you just do the reps. And then it will yield results. Like, if you figure out that structure of your week the best that it possibly can, then it'll yield results. And we're constantly tinkering our calendars and changing things around, adding different things in to make sure that we maintain in that flow. And we've structured our weeks in a certain way so that we're doing certain tasks on certain days at certain times to ensure that we are operating the best possible way that we can for ourselves, to make sure that we don't get too emotionally taxed or energetically taxed from our life, but more so to make sure that we're in the best possible frame of mind for every conversation that we have. Because 100%. You and I, 100% of our time during work hours is helping creative, big picture, talking about strategy, talking about really deep stuff that it's like, you need to be in peak performance. You know, if I was sitting there holding a lollipop on the side of the road directing traffic, it might be a bit different, but for other people that you have, like...
You're going somewhere different with that. I don't know what the lollipop thing threw me off. But I was sucking back lollipops all day.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, there is, you know, roles out there that doesn't really take too much of your emotional energy. So, like, if you've got that role in your life where you are having big picture conversations, where you are giving back a lot and you are having, you know, difficult conversations and helping guide people, then it's like, you need to make sure that you're staying in flow. You need to make sure that you're in the optimum performance so that you can make sure that you don't make any mistakes. For me, mostly, it's like, you know, I feel like a massive duty of care that I don't want to fuck up. I want to make sure that I'm giving the best that I possibly can. And all of these little things are to make sure that, like, I can take a little bit out of my mind, put it into some sort of process so that I know if I follow that process, it's going to work. And it's similar to like the Kobe situation or the LeBron or whatever. It's like, you get there, you do the reps early on, then you go into the physical conditioning, but they know every single day when they wake up, cool, this is exactly what I need to do. And then by just doing that, they're going to yield the results.
I love it, man. Like, take the uncertainty away and add some structure and some certainty around certain parts of your life, then every other part of your life can become free.
Yeah.
And it's powerful. Like, another thing that I've just relearned, I always knew, but I just wouldn't listen to it, is the power of high quality rest. Now, on my days off now, if I can, like, I'll try and have between a 5-minute and a 30-minute sleep, or on a holiday, I'll have an hour and a half sleep during the day. The power of that for like mental recovery, creativity, innovation, and just reducing stress is insane. I just can't believe everyone's not talking about it. And then also, you know, sleep. Like, sleep is such an overthought thing, like myself included. Like, sometimes I just be like, I'll be fucking lying there and I'm like, and then as soon as I like let go of it, I'm okay with it. But it's like sleep and napping, like, it's how our brains not just rest, but actually go and heal our bodies and put memories into short-term, long-term, or get rid of stuff that doesn't matter. It's how we process stuff. Like, it is so powerful. It's incredible. And so I suppose, like, for me personally, as part of remaining in flow, that means like certain things. And like I've only just started getting up at 6 a.m. again, and for the first week it was horrible. Like, I actually hated it. I was just constantly wanting to hit snooze. I was like, now after like only a few weeks into it, I'm like jumping out of bed.
Yeah.
Because I've heard fighters talk about it, and I've heard Joe Rogan and stuff talk about it, and Tim Ferriss. Like, anybody that remains, I've heard Tony Robbins say, like, when he moves into event mode, he's got a set bedtime and wake up time. And even when Hugh Jackman was doing like Broadway, he was like, I got up at the same time every day. Conor McGregor said it, like, something about setting the rhythm so that your body knows when to wake up. Because after reading this rest book, your brain actually starts waking up about an hour and a half before your body physically wakes to get ready for the day. And if you can move your body more in alignment with the circadian rhythms, like, they reckon there's wake up time, which an hour before you wake up plus about 6 hours after is like you're on. And then there's this natural cycle throughout the day where your body naturally goes sleepier. Then you can come out of that, whether you sleep or not is irrelevant. It's happening, and we all feel it. We call it like the lunchtime thing.
Yeah.
And then
Spaniards
it
have got it
pops
on
back
point.
up, and it peaks at about 8 o'clock, and then starts to like taper off
Decline again. Yeah, I think sleep is so important. Like, it's definitely my biggest value and something that keeps me feeling amazing. If I get a good night's sleep, then there is no stopping me the next day. If I have a bad night's sleep, then anything can fucking stop me. It's crazy. So, and I listen to all of these guys, and I think like LeBron James was such a big activist for this, because I look at so many athletes nowadays, they're all doing it. Like, they've all got their nutrition on point. They've got their sleep schedules on point. A lot of these top guys are doing the nap thing. They're taking that time around that 12 to 2 p.m. where it's just like full chill, then back into it again. And like, they need it because they're, you know, punishing their bodies, but they've also got the mental capacity thinking about everything that's going on. And, you know, we all have those lives as well. So, you know, sleep is hands down important for me. I can't sleep during the day. Like, no matter how much I've tried on holidays, whenever, like, I can go rest, but there is no shutting my mind off during the day at all. But I still incorporate rest during the day. And like, you know, during the work day for me at lunch, I will always go and take at least a 45-minute lunch and go get back into go mode. And, you know, that's refueling with some food, going for a bit of a walk, maybe going for a bit of a run, you know.
Swim and surf sometimes.
Swim, surf, or just, you know, sit down and take some breaths, you know, like, just relax, but make sure that you switch off. Don't look at your phone. Don't look at your emails. Get outside. Like, if you've been sitting down all day, definitely get up. Or if you've been standing up all day like I do, then maybe sitting down for a couple of minutes. You know, just having that time during the day to reset, recharge. You've smashed the morning. You've achieved all of your goals. You've still got your afternoon to go. Let's get back into go mode, and let's you know, have as much energy as we possibly can for the afternoon.
For me, every time I've been in flow in my working life or at uni over the last 15 years, I walk. Like, I take, same as Simon, like some food, get a bit of sun, and then when I'm at my best, like, I'm walking. And walking, according to like the science of it, gives your brain your eyes just enough stimulation to keep the brain occupied from like deep thought.
Yep.
But just enough rest for your brain to like process what it's gone through and to reset and recharge. And like, rest is so not one thing. Like, napping, walking, like sleeping, these are all irrelevant. It's just what your like thing is. Like, it's like in this book there was about 15 cool things you could do, and it's like, pick a couple that work for you. Like, the biggest one I picked out of it was like something that I've always been epic at, and same with you, and it's like having passions and things that we're excited about outside of our job.
Yes.
Like, I love soccer, I absolutely love surfing, and I love moving. And it's like, and then I've got my values of like, I just want to spend time with my family, and I love adventuring and going away in the caravan. And it's like, these things that are important outside of work are the things that make going to work meaningful, you know what I mean? Like, it allows you to have that energy and that flow state to be able to do the work, to be able to think about property or investing outside of work if you can't do it within it, and it keeps you in flow, and they call it deep play, and it's like you're so good at it too.
Oh yeah, it's so important, and I think it's so undervalued in terms of success as well, because it's so important to have that thing that just takes you away from who you identify as, whatever it might be. So finding like just any old hobby is so important. It doesn't need to be something that you do on the daily. Like this isn't necessarily a daily ritual, but maybe it's a weekly ritual. You know, you look at Lisa, she got into like the aerial yoga at some point in time, which was so sick for her to have that separation from the family and the kids and just the alone time. And then I look at my partner Tay, and she loves training, she loves working out, and she's always gone to like, you know, these cool gyms where there's like a mad community vibe and things like that, and it just gets her into that social environment. For us, we've got surfing, which, you know, I don't know, I'm biased, but I think surfing's the best because it's the connection to Mother Nature, whilst also
meditation,
meditation, in flow with like the world and things like that, which I absolutely love. But you know, you could see hiking as the exact same thing, you know,
sailing,
out in nature.
Rock climbing, it's all the same.
They're all the same, and it's just finding that hobby where it's yours. You've chosen to do it. You've gone and learnt that skill. You've developed that skill, and that's something that takes you out of who you identify as. Because, you know, a lot of people look at me, oh, you're Simon the buyer's agent, you're Simon the property guy. It's like, well,
no, that's just what I do.
That's just what I do. There's so much more to me than just being the property guy, and having that and knowing that like, oh, I've got my mates that I can text on a Saturday, like, oh, let's go for a surf together. Fully. And it's like, you know, you go and hang out with them, and it just like, you just completely immersed into this thing that's like nothing but that at that point in time.
I love it, man. Like Winston Churchill painted.
Yep.
You know, like Charles Darwin went for walks.
Yep.
Like Jordan played golf, Kelly Slater played golf, both were scratch golfers, you know what I mean? Something like the best form of deep play is something that, according to like the people that wrote this stuff, is like just something that completely fills your soul and you would do every single day for nothing, that still uses problem solving, still uses physical, you know, fitness, still challenges you to step up and makes you uncomfortable, but just is completely different to what you do. And I think particularly at my age group, like in your 20s, so active, like it's really normal to just keep doing stuff. In your 30s, like I watch a lot of the parents that I talk to at school with kids and stuff, it's like particularly the mums and the partners, like just go so selfless, and I just feel for them. Like I'm like, there's no deep play. A lot of the hobbies go, a lot of the socialization that isn't like mum specific goes, or, you know, a lot of guys just stop doing things because it's like, well, I'm working so much, I should just spend the entire rest of my time with my kids. And I've been guilty of that in terms of like missing hanging out with people, but I've never been guilty of like stopping doing the shit that I love doing. And it's like, what if you found something you fucking loved again? And the best form of deep play, according to the science, is things that you loved doing when you were a kid. Like, and I found my way back to soccer, and I found my way back into surfing, and I found my way back into moving all day, every day. And it's like, what's yours? Like,
go find that.
What would your life look like if you and your partner had something passionate? And how much could you inspire your kids if there was something that you love doing and you showed them that life can be something you love, you know what I mean?
Hell yeah. Like I think, you know, in terms of how we kind of got onto this path, just naturally happened throughout friendship groups, but, you know, listening to certain podcasts and reading certain books, I think like, you know, if you want to learn more about this stuff and get to that level, like The Art of Happiness by the Dalai Lama is an amazing book to go read and learn about mindfulness and awareness. I think The Monk That Sold His Ferrari is a really great book. It's just about a guy that lived in the world that we live in, and then, you know, sold it all for a more chill life. And then definitely The Untethered Soul as well. They're like 3 great mindfulness books that will help you understand more about how important this sort of stuff is. Then, you know, there's amazing podcasts out there, like so many great people are talking about this sort of stuff nowadays. I kind of vibe with like your Aubrey Marcuses, your Tim Ferrisses, and things like that. They're kind of my vibe, but you've got to find your own, right? You've got to find somebody that you're willing to listen to.
Yeah.
And then constantly doing those guided meditations on YouTube and things like that. And then I think if you just start with that, if you just start with figuring out the mindfulness, everything else will come from there.
100%.
Like once you start to give yourself time to think for yourself, about yourself, you will naturally start to figure out everything else. And it's like, okay, well now I'll incorporate some of these other things. I'll start to find that structure in my week so I don't have all this stuff in my head and it's just in a process. And then you start to create this space for yourself as well, where you just want to, have these times of rest throughout the day to reconnect with yourself, get back there. And then you'll obviously find that passion while you're meditating at some point in time. Like, oh, remember how much joy this used to bring me? Maybe I should give that a crack. And you start finding the time, but it definitely all starts with an awareness of who you are within yourself, which always starts through meditation. So I just can't, promote this sort of stuff anymore. Like, you've really got to just give it a crack to figure out how well it actually works. Like, it's just every single person I've talked to that started it has continued. Every single one.
Like, to sort of wrap that up, I'm just so on board with it. Like, meditation, water, breathing, being aware of your thoughts and the chemical reactions in your body.
Sleep,
naps, walks,
hobbies,
relationships with other people, structure within your work, and figuring out what's important to you and then living those things on a daily basis. And I'm just so grateful to get to do this stuff with you, man. Like, it's inspiring talking to you because you're so far down this path and you've been working on it. And I want people to know that, like, we've worked on the property thing. We're working on this, and Simon's done a lot of work in this space. And
I just struggle at articulating it sometimes,
we all do.
Because I still see myself at the beginning, but it's
We're always at the beginning.
I think that's why this channel is starting to talk more about this sort of stuff, because it's had such a profound impact on our lives. And I don't the property stuff is like a means to an end to get that financial side of things done, and it's my passion. But a happy life of choices is what we really want. And it's happiness, it's how do you get that? And I think from all of these different things is where you get it.
I love it, man. I've watched you incorporate one little thing at a time too. And sometimes, guys, when you hear this is a dump of 15 years worth of learning for me and Simon, just one thing at a time.
Just one thing.
If exercise is an easy foundation, or waking up at the same time every day, start with that. And then in 3 months, incorporate a bit of breathing, and in 3 months after that,
you just want to.
You will.
You just want to,
Start to change one thing, and everything starts to change with it, right?
100%. But I wish you all the absolute best, and just give me 10 minutes of meditation this week and see how it goes.
Awesome, guys. We're so grateful. Thanks so much, man. I just love that.
Yeah,
Appreciate
bro.
it.
Thanks, man. Good chats.
Sweaty. So sweaty. Oh, that's good.